The SEC basketball season is winding down. Which teams are we buying this postseason? It is time to get our squad together.
You're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
And what is up, everybody? Welcome into our SEC squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get you ready for another week talking all things SEC. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Let's welcome in our panel this week. We've got Stephen Willis from Locked On Ole Miss, Jimmy Stein from Locked On Bama, Chris Marler from Locked On Gamecocks, and I'm Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. And gentlemen, we're going to talk some football. We got plenty of stuff we're going to get into, but I do want to start with basketball because we are winding down the final weekend of regular season games happening this weekend. Seeding on the line for the SEC tournament. A lot to still be decided, but man, the Florida Gators, they have been absolutely red hot. They've won, 10 in a row. They're beating the hell out of everybody. I think the numbers are they've on this 10-game win streak, they've beaten teams by a margin of 23 points per game. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So I take them off the table, fellas. Give me another team from the SEC that you think has a chance to make a Final Four run this postseason.
No,
I think Arkansas, if they get hot with Calipari and all that, they have the talent to get there. It would not surprise me in the least. And then what would be funny is to watch Kentucky fans' tears with Calipari taking a team to the Final Four.
I'll say Alabama, though. Honestly, as the Alabama guy, hate saying that. I just say it in the sense that Alabama's got a premier offense. The offense is fantastic. It's one of the best offenses in the country. 2 years in a row, Alabama has gone farther and done more. They've done more in the postseason than was expected of them by virtually anyone 2 years in a row. Even last year going into the NCAA tournament, they were blown out by Florida in the SEC tournament. Still made it to the Elite Eight, only losing to a really good Duke team. I'll say Alabama, but I think it's only Florida, really, from the SEC. I don't think Alabama's good enough defensively to get past, frankly, the Sweet 16. But again, back-to-back Elite Eights, and this offense is better than the last two.
Honestly, the only thing that's slowed down the offense so far is that clock management of the actual clock, like the physical clock itself in Steggman Coliseum last night. That was unbelievable. No, I don't disagree with either of you. I think both could get to the Final Four. Bama's defense is terrible. They do really, really poorly in terms of defending offensive rebounds. Like they do not protect the rim very well. You saw it last night against Georgia. It's been a big issue for them in other games. Physically, they are not good down low, but they can shoot the lights out for sure. I'm kind of with Steven. If it's not going to be Florida, I'm all in on Arkansas because Darius Acuff is the kind of player that I will put my entire bracket based on. For that team getting to the Final Four and being able to go on a run. And here's the thing. They still have a lot of other talented players on that team besides him. He is just so head and shoulders above everyone else that it's kind of crazy. I think those three are probably the best ones. I don't think anyone's Florida. I mean, we're going all in on Florida. We have to go all in on Florida.
I know Arizona is really good. I know Michigan is really good. I know Duke's really good. I'm looking forward to watching them beat Florida. Let's see if it can happen.
You know what's crazy too is Gordy brought up the fact that during this run they're beating teams by an average of 23 points per game. Before this past game, they had been winning those games by an average of 19.7 points. This past weekend. So in their game against Arkansas and whoever they played Tuesday night, I can't remember. Who was it?
Was it Ole Miss?
No.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
It was Mississippi State.
It was 19.7 points per game average margin of victory before those two games, and it jumped up 4 points, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's and by the way, Arkansas, like Billy Richmond has stepped up. I mean, they just Calipari, he knows the run is like he's not going to be long at Arkansas, right? But he's maximizing his time there, and he's got the Tyson Chicken money behind him, and I think that's a team. I'm going to throw it out there, and don't laugh, but Rick Barnes in Tennessee. I know they've
Yeah.
never been to the Final Four. Is this the year? Like, we feel like we do this every year, but Nate Ament has been an awesome freshman, and then Jacoby Gillespie has been that killer for them, who he can step up, hit big threes when he needs them, and obviously they play the trademark defense that Rick Barnes always has them playing physical. So, again, and look, it's no shocker. Those are the top 4 teams in the SEC that we hit on, but it it does feel like this is a year that one of them could get there. And I saw somebody in my comments on Twitter said, well, it doesn't matter. The SEC sucks this year. And I'm like, Joe Lunardi doesn't think so, bro. He was still, as of a few days ago, arguing 11 SEC teams in. So, I mean, you can say that, but other people think highly of the SEC.
Terrible conference that's going to once again have the most teams out of any other conference in there. Just horrible stretch this year for the SEC.
And I will say this, if they get the right draw, Missouri could make a run. They legitimately could make a run, but they're draw dependent. They're in that category, that second tier of SEC team.
Steven, did you see any of you? I wanted to bring this up before we started, and I couldn't pull it up in time, so I'm not going to explain it well. But there was a tweet yesterday about Missouri and just how crazy their seeding can be in the SEC tournament. And there's there's 7 games that can dictate where they would be, and if they win, and like if Arkansas beats Texas tonight, that's the start of it. But if all this stuff happens on Saturday, which all of it's very plausible, it's like all the favorites would have to win, they would be the 3 seed. But if they would be the difference between a 3 seed and a 10 seed in the SEC tournament. So there's still there's no team that fluctuates more going into the final week than Mizzou, which is crazy.
Arkansas beat Texas by 20. So that's everybody's got 1 game left going into this weekend. But it's that log jam of those 10 and 7 teams, from Mizzou to Vandy to Texas A&M to Kentucky. I mean, any of those teams I could buy as they're one and done. They lose on the opening weekend. Or I could buy Kentucky gets hot, goes on a run, Otega Oweh, and all these pieces they have. So is there one of those, I'll call them a dark horse, but like one of the lower tiered SEC teams you're buying that could make a run?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think the team that's going to be cutting down the nets at the end of the year is going to be Auburn in the NIT. And I personally can't wait to watch it happen.
That's crazy talk. They're not going to win the NIT.
No, they're not. But watching Bruce Pearl hold up Steven on that ladder to cut down the nets of the NIT would be incredible. Oh, I'm out of focus. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, how about him actually admitting to the nepotism? I mean, he's, it doesn't hurt to
what just happened.
Come out and admit, hey, there was nepotism. I gave my I set it up for my son. And look, we know that, right? The timing of when he retired, of course you set it up.
Yeah, Auburn didn't have any other choice but to hire Stephen Pearl. I don't know if they considered an interim tag, but instead they gave him a 4-year deal. And if they decide to make a change, they'll have to write a pretty decent check to get out of it. But Auburn played really well early in the season, and it is a tough league. I know there's critics out there, but it is a tough league. And this is why the teams that aren't making the tournament, the teams that won't be in the NCAA tournament, you go try to win a road game there. I mean, go beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma right now. I mean, this is a deep league. It's tough every week, and that's why I think the SEC teams will do well in the NCAA tournament, because the week-to-week, game-to-game grind of the SEC prepares you for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the Miami of Ohio case? They're undefeated, and yet there's talk of, if they lose in their conference tournament, that their strength of schedule is like 200th or something, that they're saying like they don't deserve to get in. In my opinion, like, if you undefeated in any conference, I don't care if it's the Summit League or whatever it is, you deserve to get in.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter posted, it's like, no team that has gone undefeated has ever missed the tournament. And I was like, well, think that through.
Yeah.
You sit there. But if they lost in the conference tournament and you went undefeated in regular season, yes, I do not care if the MAC is a 1-bid league.
Yeah.
You need to make an exception. The other one would be the bid stealer, not Miami of Ohio.
There's 68 teams. You got to put if there's 68, you got to put them in. But I will say, with the strength of schedule that low, and they lose in the MAC tournament, I'm going to doubt that they're very good, to be honest.
I still think they deserve to be in at this point, no matter what. I agree with you guys. I think the thing for Auburn and making their case is, like, Yeah, they played one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country. But also you look at some of those games, like what's their best win? Well, their best wins are close losses. They barely lost to Houston. They got their doors blown off by Arizona, which a lot of teams have. I think Auburn is every time I watch them, I want to believe. It is the opposite of watching them play football. Every time I see them play basketball, I want to believe. But it is getting in over a team that's 28-0 at this point? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, counterpart Marler, they lost on their home floor to Ole Miss.
Yeah, that cost me some money, Stephen. You and I
they beat Florida, right? One of Florida's 2 losses.
Yeah,
they beat Florida at Florida for the first time in 30 years. Think about that.
Such an enigma.
Yeah, the other teams to keep an eye on, and I think if Auburn loses at Neville Arena this week, I think they're out. In my opinion, I think Georgia's in. Man, they've played. Georgia can never get a good read on them. It's like 1 minute they look good, 1 minute they don't. They look good in the win over Bama. I think Georgia's in. Texas hosts Oklahoma, who's won 5 of their last 7. Again, I think Texas is in. Sean Miller, I think, will get some respect, but Texas has not been playing well as of late. And then, and that's kind of it. The Oklahoma thing's interesting, though, because they're 6-11 in conference, 16-14 overall. But what if they beat Texas this weekend? They go into the conference tournament having won, what would that be, 6 of 8? And if they win a couple games in the SEC conference tournament, like maybe Oklahoma gets one of those last spots in. I don't know. We'll see.
Is Mateer healthy?
Well, the crazy part is 3 weeks ago, I'm talking about Porter Moser he's fired. He's out. And now he's like, they can't fire him now. He's winning games. So,
but the real question is, will the basketball court at the SEC tournament be programmable by a computer? Because that's apparently a big deal.
The tweet that somebody put out there, Stephen, of that was like, and I'm not just saying it to Stephen. You guys were probably saw it on Twitter too. I don't know, Stephen, did you see this on Twitter? But the guy said like they're trying to make it not look like a basketball court, so Darren Peterson plays.
Well, I saw one that said it was a screenshot of a adult film being projected onto the court.
Yeah.
And hackers have a way. It is possible to do that.
So that's cool.
When we return, gents, we'll talk a little football. I got a lot of different things we need to get into as spring ball is getting underway. A squad talking more ball coming your way next. Hey, but first, I want to remind you guys about our friends over at Mazda. And we tell you guys all the time about Mazda and what they have going on. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. And this week, Jimmy, sorry to do this. I'm going to give some props to Georgia forward Kennon Catchings, the BYU transfer who went off on Tuesday night in the win over Alabama, scoring 32 points, 6 rebounds, a block, and 2 steals. He hit 7 3-pointers as Georgia got the 98-88 home win over top 20 Alabama. It's moments like these that remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit that I never quit. We put that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it takes to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. If you're thinking of getting a new vehicle, check out our friends at Mazda. As they always say, move and be moved. All right, thank you guys for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now you can take it up a level, go ad-free, whichever of your favorite Locked On show is. You can head to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer and get signed up. $5 a month. You'll get your favorite Locked On show ad-free. They take out all the ads, and you get exclusive Discord access where you get to talk with folks like Steven and Jimmy and myself. I was talking with some of the Bama folks today in there. So check it out, lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Guys, I did want to get to spring football, but let me sidetrack a little bit here because there's an important meeting going on in Washington, D.C. this week where the president has formed a committee where he'll be talking with a lot of big influential sports folks, and the topic is the future of college sports. And this is kind of coming on the heels of the SEC and the Big Ten kind of saying, hey, we have our TV deal, we have our rights deal, we don't want to do this fair, equal thing with the rest of college football. But you have people like Cody Campbell at Texas Tech calling for, hey, let's just put everybody on the same level playing field and let's, we'll get ahead of things like the portal and NIL and all this stuff. But where do you guys come down on some of this stuff?
I think it's stupid. It's utterly ridiculous. It's not the job of the flagship university of one of the poorest states in America to subsidize Boise State or Colorado State or anybody else that just wants to play big-time college football. The SEC and the Big Ten got to where they are because they are the best conferences in college football. And here's the problem that people need to pay attention in this deal. There's a whole lot more people that want this to happen than SEC and Big Ten fans that don't want it to happen, which should give you pause, at least going to Congress, at least that they will eliminate that Sports Broadcasting Act that will allow pooling of revenue, and then the pressure will be on the Big Ten and the SEC. I think in the end of the day, it's time to start having the conversation about breakaway. It's time to start looking at what college sports are going to be for the SEC and Big Ten, and that's just not going to be what it is for Southern Miss and Colorado State. That needs to happen because they are putting a full court press on Congress to make it sound like, hey, pooling of the revenue, we can make $7 billion a year. Well, that comes out to $51 million for SEC teams. That's a $20 million haircut if that happened. And no SEC team, no SEC commissioner, no Big Ten are going to agree to that. I think it's just time to start talking about breaking away.
I'm a little uncomfortable with the president leaving the Situation Room at wartime to go discuss college football. Is that crazy? Am I crazy for thinking that maybe
I ran the damn ball, Jimmy?
College football is my life. I get it that it's that important, but maybe it really shouldn't be that important this week. That's just
is it the same as Mississippi getting rid of state tax for NIL kids? I mean, it's
Arkansas did that last year. I mean, it's not something. But I appreciate it. Now Mississippi's getting rid of state tax, and we're talking about not much money. It's more of an optic thing than anything else.
My camera.
I think it's bad optics. It's bad optics, but I mean, but if one state's going to do it, then the rest of the southern states have to do it because you got to keep up recruiting wise. But overall, it's a really ridiculous thing that football players get tax breaks that the hardworking public doesn't.
Well, you have to look at it like this. If you want your Amazon distribution center, there's going to be tax breaks attached. Sure. If you want to be able to go to Oxford, Mississippi and watch the next Trinidad Chambliss, this is the tax break to make that happen. This is the lever that the government has to pull. May not agree with it if you go to 1-to-1, but that's the world we live in at the moment. And like y'all said, it's going to go in Alabama and Georgia and all of those places. It'll go around the SEC really hasty.
So now that my camera's back in focus, which is nice, I think this is the worst I've looked during the show. So hopefully it goes blurry again. But no, I think, Stephen, I think the initial reaction to the tax thing is people want to be mad. And then if you just take a second, you think about it, what you said, Arkansas did this crap last year. No one batted an eye at it. Florida, Texas, and Tennessee already have no state income tax at all in their states, or in general. The state of Mississippi is already on their way to becoming a state income tax-free state by 2030, and they're declining the total amount of taxes each year. I think this year it drops down, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, 3.3% from 4.1 from last year.
It's about 0.5% every single year until it's gone.
And so here's where I get on. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's very unfair to the rest of the SEC if some people have this versus some people don't. I think all those things can be true. Here's the other part. I am never going to be pro taxes in general. The fact that we have to have a third of our paychecks taken out by the damn government every year to pay for $20 million toilets, or the haircut that you jokingly mentioned, I'm sure there's a $20 million haircut somewhere in the government. Also, at the end of the year, we get a damn math project to do that if we get wrong, we get to go to prison. What are we talking about? I'm never going to be pro taxes ever, ever, ever. I think Mississippi going to do this, if Mississippi being one of the schools that's going to do it, or states that are going to do it, I think it looks bad for optics. Sure, whatever. I think they have gone so far past after, no offense, but they're already kind of past the optics part of this with Chambliss and the stuff with Golding. They're going to catch heat no matter what because they're winning. Again, we didn't have any conversation about this with Arkansas. And what's going to end up happening is like what Stephen said. It's going to end up being a catalyst for the rest of the SEC. So if I'm South Carolina, if I'm Georgia, if I'm Alabama, I don't really care about Kentucky. But if I'm any of those states, I'm saying, why would we be behind on this? Like what moral high ground are you trying to, or hill are you trying to die on to say that we're not going to do this when everyone else around you is already doing it?
Well, I will say this. I've never seen so many people in Alabama and Georgia be so just clutching their pearls over teachers in the state of Mississippi. Than I have in a couple. Yeah.
How about we track what the kids spend money on NIL? Like if you buy a house, you're fine, no tax. But if you're like Carson Beck and you buy a Lamborghini, we're taxing you double on that. Yeah, that's stupid.
Well, the dirty little secret on this is they're getting away from income tax. If the player buys a house, he still has to pay property tax every single year, and it's going to be at a much higher rate than what he was paying in income tax.
I would love to know what backup punter in the SEC is investing in real estate with his NIL money. I'm sure one of them is.
I want to go with Marler down to the harbor and dump a bunch of tea in it. Complain about taxes.
It makes me so irate, Jimmy. And listen, I love TurboTax. They have always gotten me the most money back. They're a great partner that we have. I love them to death. But again, do not give me a math project. First off, I'm great at math, okay? Not mental math, but I do not give me a math project with like, hey, is it pass or fail? No, it's free or prison if you get this wrong. Like, get out of here, dude.
I was going to say, of all days for us not to have a TurboTax read here, that would have.
That is my TurboTax read, by the way. That's why it's so well rehearsed. It's just me ranting about the government.
Well, still more to come here, guys. By the way, I went to Boston last summer, and you on the tour, you get to literally throw tea in the Boston Harbor. It's a fun part of the tour. When we return here, we lost a very big sports personality this week. We'll talk about that coming your way next. More Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Hey, first, guys, the biggest stretch of college basketball season is almost here. The buzzer beaters, bracket busters, those unforgettable moments everybody's talking about the next day. And if you want to be there for something like that, we're talking that is bucket list type stuff. Look, the hard part is always actually getting the tickets. Long queues, prices jumping at checkout. The Game Time app, they give fans the advantage with constant innovation. It is how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And the best part, fees are included in the price you pay. What you see is what you pay, period. You're going to be able to follow your teams in the app and get alerts when new deals drop. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. That's exactly what you want during the busiest part of the season. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code Locked On, get $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem our code Locked On, get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And fellas, we're going to have a very quick 5-hour energy flavor draft. 18 different flavors now to choose from over at 5-hour energy. They got some new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, cotton candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. I'm going with my number one pick for the 5-hour energy flavor draft. I'm going to go with cotton candy. I just tried them this past week. I liked it. A little bit of airy candy profile, carnival style taste. Stephen Willis, give me your go-to 5-hour energy flavor.
Hey, old standby. Give me berry. That's the original flavor of 5-hour energy. Give it to me right now. That would be my top pick in the flavor draft still, even though they're making tons of flavors.
Jimmy, where are you going?
Going great. Going great. I'm a great guy.
All right. Marler?
First off, I love you both. All three of you, really. But I said on my show this week that if anybody says grape or berry, they're cops. And they are the worst two flavors to me. It's watermelon or tropical burst. I've had 4 today. Fired up. Ask me more questions about taxes, Jimmy.
Yeah. Nobody drinks more 5-hour energies than our buddy Chris Marler. He was very upset when he found out they were sending out free samples and he didn't get one. He's like, I already buy them every day. But anyway, 5-hour energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar, of course. Plenty of great limited time flavors you could try. Find your new favorite flavor at 5-hour energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. All right, fellas, as we wrap up here on the Squad Show, we did say goodbye to one of the great personalities, coaches, and, of course, sports personality in Lou Holtz, who passed away this week. We know he was in poor health a couple weeks ago, and he has since gone on and coached at Arkansas. It was back when they were in the Southwest Conference, but obviously, of course, a lot of SEC fans remember those days. And then, of course, coached at South Carolina in the late 90s into the 2000s, and was actually, I want to say it's 2001 was named SEC Coach of the Year. So anyway, and of course, will be remembered for those nights on ESPN with Mark May, where Reese Davis was wearing the judge's outfit and having some fun arguments. But it got me thinking, guys. I just wanted to poll question, throw it out there. Who's your favorite sports personality out there? I mean, like I said, it was must watch for me watching Lou Holtz and Mark May argue with each other. But if there's a go-to personality out there, Stephen, who do you like?
Well, this is going to show my age a little bit, but it'll never compare to Keith Jackson and Ron Franklin and that generation. Whenever they were the voice of college football, it was just different. I remember Keith Jackson came to Oxford, Mississippi in 1993, I think, Ole Miss versus Alabama, and it was such a big deal to get Keith Jackson in Oxford. Ole Miss wasn't very good offensively, and I think Ole Miss injured Bama's quarterback, and David Palmer played quarterback that game and just completely ripped Ole Miss to shreds. And it just reminds me of that era, losing Lou Holtz. Now, granted, Ryan Day can sleep easy now, but as it sits, like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was just the perfection for college football.
Jimmy, who you got?
I've never met him. The Vern Funquist guy on Twitter is probably my favorite person. I hope to meet him. I hope to meet him one day. I mean, I hope I get enough Twitter e-cred to meet Vern Funquist, whoever that is.
Yeah, I've been following you longer than you followed me.
Yeah. You know what? It's overrated, Jimmy. You don't want to meet him.
For sure.
There's so many. And like, I would even go back, even Beano Cook in the
Beano was great.
I mean, just in the sense of the personalities that made me love college football as a kid, that's continued all the way up into this elderly state I'm in now. But guys like that gave me my love for college football. But there's so many good ones right now. I like Josh Pate. I watch a lot of him. I like a lot of the guys on ESPN. GameDay is iconic to me, and Reese and Kirk and Desmond, and now my old football coach Saban's up there with Pat McAfee. So really a lot of them, but Beano Cook comes to mind for me, even though he passed away a long time ago. But guys like Beano's who instilled this love for college football in me in the first place.
Yeah, Prime Corso, by the way, was elite.
Oh,
yeah,
that's where I was going to go. I think me growing up, I mean, GameDay is my favorite, but like the crew, and I like it now. I've come around on, I mean, Saban's been awesome. I've come around on McAfee. I didn't like him at first, but I've come around on him, and I think Reese Davis does a good job. But that original Fowler, Corso, Herb Street, I mean, and I guess maybe it's because it's all the glory day memories of my memories of being in the SEC, and it meant a big, huge monster matchup if those guys were on your campus. To me, it doesn't get better than those three.
It was a 30-minute show. You remember when they extended it to the hour? They were like, oh my God, we're getting an hour of game day. And then it was 2 hours. And then like the Lou Holtz, I said this on my show earlier, the Lou Holtz Mark May thing. I remember coming home just, what's the most PG way to put this in case David Locke is listening, hammered from college on Saturday nights and hearing Lou Holtz, Mark May argue about God knows what, and you're just sitting here like, man, these are the good old days. Like those are core memories I have with college football. I'm so glad you brought up Ron Franklin, Stephen. That was him and the guy with him who had the horrible northern accent.
Mike Godfrey.
Yes, Mike Godfrey. Always, I remember him trying to pronounce Auburn's offensive lineman Geno James, and it was like, you mean Geno James? Like, what? Obviously, wow, how am I drawing a blank here? The granddaddy of them all, who was the Keith Jackson. That is just so iconic and so old school for forever and ever. And all the games he did. I will say too that I never loved the broadcasts, and you never loved it either if your team was on it. But the three Daves on Jefferson Pilot,
I was just about to say that.
It was always some August or September game that was 1,000 degrees outside, and those guys sweating through these stupid white cotton shirts, and it was like an Ole Miss Vandy game that was for some reason always 28-24 or 31-27. I don't know why.
The game used to be on TBS. Remember when it was on TBS before it was even the Jefferson Pilot?
That was Dave Neal.
Yeah.
Was that Gold?
No, Bob Neal. Bob Neal.
Golden Flake was a sponsor at one point. Potato chips.
But
Hey,
those
if
guys
anybody's
didn't-
watching this, watch YouTube and find the TBS SEC intro from like 1990. It was elite.
The
Nothing
cartoon
comes close now.
mascot. It was
Yes.
cartoon mascots. It was awesome.
The ones I'll say from today that I do love to death. I love the guys at SC Network with Doring and PB and Dari and all them. My favorite, I think they just don't get enough love. I think Tom Hart and his that Saturday night crew, they usually don't have the best games. But Tom Hart is electric. And I will never forget him doing a game at Ole Miss where Jerry and Ely broke off a 69-yard run, and you knew it was coming. And he scores, and as soon as he crossed the goal line, he's like, 69-yard touchdown. Nice. And it was like, that's my man. A 13-year-old dude just trapped in a man's body calling football games.
I'll add too. I think I've gotten to be behind the scenes of SEC Nation. They do an awesome job.
Yeah.
My Bomb Tebow and Jordan Rogers and all those guys. It's up against my favorite show in Game Day. So it's like I can't watch both at the same time. I will flip back and forth. But and then of course we can't go without mentioning the Vern Lundquist, Gary Danielson 2:30 CBS game. I mean, that was, I like the ESPN ABC stuff now. It's great, but those games with the
felt big. They did a great job of making the game big.
So big.
It was
Now
big.
now it's Purdue and Northwestern.
That's just
Not big.
and it was crazy. It was
That's the not
crazy.
Big Ten portion of the
It was crazy, guys, how Gary Danielson was simultaneously a Bama homer and a Bama hater at the same time.
he got so much unnecessary hate forever. Honestly, Vern did too. And like I think those two were so great in that game, and I don't know why everyone chose to hate Gary Danielson. But in the SEC, it's very hard to ever get anyone to agree on anything. You mentioned Tebow. It's hard for me to watch Tebow because he's just let his body go so badly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just watching him. I take my fitness seriously, and watching him just kind of slink into what do you call it, retirement's been tough for me to watch.
Hey, in his spare time, spare time, he's in Washington trying to get people arrested for doing unsatisfying things. So
If it keeps going the way it's going, he might be back in college football.
We'll end on that. That's good.
And 20 years ago, Jordan Rogers would have been the top broadcaster in college football. But now that it's like right now where you're trying to be cute and have a brand and doing all this extra stuff, the guy just knows ball. And if you know ball, I give you credit.
what was that product he was selling? Like, where was him in his bathroom rubbing stuff on his face? I don't know what that commercial was.
I don't
Jordan
know.
Rogers, some kind of
Probably
face
for
cream.
his bachelorette days.
Bodman body spray.
Yeah, I might buy his face cream. It works pretty well. Fellas, that is going to do it for this edition of our Squad Show. Remember to follow and subscribe to your favorite SEC show. We'll be covering your favorite team every day throughout the offseason. And don't forget, I'll have you covered with the entire conference every day with Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And, hey, become an everydayer. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. For Chris Marler, Stephen Willis, and Jimmy Stein, this has been our SEC Squad Show.